Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to those of us in the Asia Pacific region. Good, very evening, as I used to say. Uh, Today we have with us a very special guest, somebody who I've come to know over the past few years. We work with them very closely and all of that. And it's also like an absolute pleasure to have him here today on this episode number 30 of the Unboxing AI webinar series. Unbelievable that the team has been able to put this together for 30 weeks in a row. I hadn't anticipated that. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully once the content goes online, it helps. This is the Unboxing AI webinar series by CARPL. If you don't know what CARPL is, well, are you living under a rock? But we are often described by me as your friendly neighborhood AI platform, helping you get amazing AI solutions like AZmed into your workflows, helping you test, deploy, monitor these solutions, and eventually get exponential ROI from AI. Today, we have with us Julien Vidal. Julian is the Chief Executive Officer of AZmed. As I mentioned, dear friend, collaborator, partner. Thank you, Julian, for doing this.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Vidur. Before we start, I just wanted to have a word on what you said. It's really a great initiative that you have, and it might sound normal to you, but I assure you, it's not. Like we know that discussions like that can help a lot to understand AI and also the persons behind the product. So, congrats for the initiative and for the consistency. As you said, number 30, it's already way beyond I don't know, more than 99% of all the webinar projects. So congrats for the consistency.
Thank you, Julian. That's very inspirational. I think one day I can do a webinar on all the weird places in the world I have done webinars from in order to do this. But no, thank you, means a lot. Means a lot. So yes, as is customary, Julian, brief word about Julian. He has a master's degree in management and entrepreneurship from GEM France and the Complutense University in Spain. He a banker back in the day. He worked at Rothschild's, where he developed in-depth expertise on investment and finance management within the European startup ecosystem. And then he left what was probably a very high-paying, relatively stable life to jump into the world of startups as his own, and started AZmed in 2018. Today, of course, 6 years down the line, their solutions are deployed across 2,500 sites across 55 countries. My God. And he's also a mentor at the prestigious Techstars program that we all here in the startup world look up to and very well aware of. So thank you, Julian, for doing this. And at the outset, I would like to know what made you start AZmed? Why? It's probably our industry is probably the toughest, to start something in, at least. And back in 2018, I'm sure many things did not exist the way they do today. So
yeah, exactly. Why? It's a question I still ask myself today. But yeah, like the main, I think that there's two things. The first one is it sounds very cliche, but every single member of my family, like without any exception, like my parents, my siblings, my cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone, they are all doctors, like radiologists, emergency physicians, dentists, you name it. So I was the only one not doing that, so I had to get back to it one way or another. That's the first thing, and then just opportunity. Eli, my best friend since 15 years, is a medical doctor and had the idea of building AZmed and the very first algorithm we had on fracture detection. Alex, my other best friend, who is now CTO, knew those technology already on cardiac MRI and breast cancer detection on mammographs. So we started a scientific project with three friends, and little by little we went by creating a full
Yeah. So
company, a viable product,
there's
and viable company.
there's a lot of people who generally listen to these videos and who are attending. I'm also seeing there's people from the startup ecosystem. Uh, at what point did you leave your job, and like what was that decision point that okay, now I am going to, like, did you conceptualize AZmed while you were working, or did it happen after? Like, what was that
Yeah,
journey like, if you can share?
the main it was very easy on our side. Like really, it was easy because we launched AZmed after graduating from school, so we had nothing to lose. It was super easy, and the main thing that made us switch to real company was that we applied at Techstars first, which is an accelerator, as you said. We applied among 1,000 startup IDs or companies, and we were selected among the 10th with funding, with helps, with advisors. And then we had a lot of things thanks to that. So that was really the switch to say, okay, now it has been like 7, 8 months we've been working on that. Let's create a company and a real life product.
Wow, amazing. Because I'm sure that, at that time, a lot of the tools that are available today, I don't know if even PyTorch and all existed at that time, to train these models. Uh,
Yeah, that was very different from the tools that we have today, and obviously the background that we have on how to train those tools and what works, how to integrate it. But there was some companies already that
on
were
that
in
note,
the market.
to folks who are listening in, please, I know that Julian can get a little technical also, so feel free to ask any questions. As is customary, we will prioritize your questions over our own discussions. So please do not hesitate. You can use the chat box, you can use the Q&A, you can email me, WhatsApp me, whatever, for your questions. But Julian, carrying on that thread, Elon Musk recently tweeted, I think a couple of weeks ago, that encouraging people to try out Grok, the Twitter AI model on medical images. And you know, I was listening also to Sam Altman's recent podcast on Y Combinator, where he also said that vision language models are and reasoning are the two things that OpenAI is going to be working on. And then even in our industry, we now have people building like queryable visual language models and also foundational models, etc. What is your take on this? Uh, how do you see this entire thing pan out?
Obviously, incredibly exciting, especially if you're in the industry for a couple of years. That's a huge switch that we feel, and especially the convergence between VLMs, visual language models, and LLMs, large language models, because before, like a couple of years back, when we started to obtain like real solid data for training, you needed to have labeled data, meaning that you have to turn an image or a report into either bounding boxes or measurements or things that you can rely on for the algorithm to say if it's right or wrong and then train it on that. So you needed actual medical doctors to go on each image and do it maybe sometimes two or three for every image to be sure that you have the ground truth. Now, theoretically, images and reports by themselves are enough to train models. I say theoretically because it's a bit more complicated than that, but the main difference, I think, is that unlabeled or I don't know, semi-labeled data were used already, but now it has unlocked that potential at another scale. You can really use it with millions and millions of images. So I think it's extremely interesting because use that to train models on things that you didn't have a clue how to do it before, link it with image, but also correlate it with patient history, with lab results, with clinical notes. And when we say that, the challenges are very, very clear. I think it will be overcome within the next years, but training costs are huge. So you need to be sure of what you do. Number two, no one is certified on that for now. And it's a real challenge for a notified body or for the FDA, for example. And third, depending on the subject, it does not work necessarily better than classical deep learning models, or at least you want to have a mix between both methods. So, but the real thing that you see is that in short amount of time, you already have some really impressive results. So for the future, it really looks promising for the future.
So Julian, like, does that mean, like, say for AZmed, right? Does that mean that you can now leverage these technologies to release more products faster, uh, or uh, or do you kind of like compete with these technologies? Like, how does that? How do you think about it?
Clearly, that's I think you've seen it also, and that's why you built a strong marketplace. The real challenge in what we do is not necessarily to develop the algorithm itself. It's everything that's around that. It's to pass the IT barrier, to certify it, to integrate it in the workflow, as you know. So obviously, for the AI part, it helps us to go faster. Before, on our case, we talked about AI for fracture. Now, and since a couple of years, we talk about AI for X-rays. Now, later in the future, we'll just talk about AI for medical imaging, thanks to those technologies for sure. So it's accelerating the process of AI not being a product, just being a standard and transparent in the workflow. That's really just an acceleration of that. So I really see it like that, that for us and for any company in the space.
Interesting. Wow, somebody has asked a very interesting question. Anonymous attendee, you should have said your name, but anyways, we understand. Do you see DICOM becoming obsolete in the near future?
Interesting question. I will not have the pretension to know the answer to that. But I think DICOM is an amazing technology, to be honest with you. It's underdeveloped and underused. You can do so many things with that. My personal conviction is that it will be the opposite. You have tons of ways to use DICOM to have information about the data and to use it in a way that's perfect for AI. So for me, I see pretty much the opposite. Maybe the question comes from the fact that you cannot upload DICOM images to X or Y LLMs algorithms right now. But that's maybe it's coming from another place. I don't know. But
Yeah.
for me, yeah, the technology is amazing and it's perfect for AI. So I see it becoming more and more important in the years to come.
No, in fact, whenever I speak to people, who are not from healthcare, and they ask, why radiology, and why does
Yeah, yeah.
radiology have so much AI? I think uh, the key reason is DICOM, right? Like the fact that a GE, Philips, Siemens, MRI, CT, X-ray can send data that can be consumed by the same packs, or which is open source, for all you know, like the DICOM push, DICOM receive, query retrieve. I think it's extra. In fact, sometimes I feel that maybe HL7 becomes redundant as DICOM becomes stronger. But I would love to understand from the anonymous attendee, where this question is coming from. Maybe we are not uh, seeing it. Uh, so yeah, no, not becoming obsolete. I don't think so, at least. Uh, but
Also, it's a niche, you know. We are working in a niche, and people outside of medical imaging don't know at all what it is most of the time. So that may also come from that. We don't know. We need more context on the question.
correct. So then we have another anonymous question. Uh, Absolutely love the new logo. Any story behind the revamp?
I think that for
You
the
have a new
question,
logo?
any
Sorry, I didn't.
we have a new logo.
Oh.
You didn't see the new logo.
I don't know.
No,
I
that's
hope we have
very.
updated it on our collateral. Yes, so what's the
The,
story
the
behind the new logo
the
and what
story
we're
is
doing right now?
it's pretty simple. It's really pretty simple. We made the first logo in 2018 in 1 hour with the help of a designer. And the goal was to have something that could be presentable to the outside world and nothing more. I think it was about time to change it. And it's not about the logo, but the whole branding and the way we present ourselves and the values of the company. It's has been totally changed, and obviously now it's not only about the way it looks. It's just that before it was like, to be very honest and transparent with you, random choices made because we needed to do some things, and now it's reflecting the whole company's choice, and every person within the company had an impact on that. So it's
Nice,
basically reflecting who we are.
nice. So you made a democratic process out of it. Interesting.
We live in France, and I'm based in Paris. We we have to do that.
Yes, I hope my team is hearing. We do not live in France as yet. So next, I have a question from Abhishek. Abhishek handles AI integrations at CARPL. Not sure if you know him. But why is AZmed still dependent on DICOM tags for MSK studies? Since there are so many discrepancies that come up in tags, what are your thoughts on making these filters better for less failures due to DICOM tags? So yeah, like it's a chest X-ray, but somebody says it's a hand, right? It's like stuff like that.
That's a good question. That's why we love to work together, because what you will feel the most convenient to be the broader possible and to be able not to miss a single exam, and at the same time not to over diagnose, will be maybe different from another hospital or partner. And we know that our job is to be able to adapt the best way possible depending on the environment where you've installed the platform. So that's an open question. Definitely, I would really love to have a follow-up call
So I think
with him to be able to look into that.
so I think that is a very interesting point also, Julian, that uh typically when AI partners come to us and we integrate a solution, we just assume that it is a fixed way, right? So we will mold our technology to adapt to yours. But what you're saying is that if you're facing a challenge, tell us, right? We can also fix things.
It's a partnership. It's working both ways, definitely.
Yeah, no, interesting, interesting, nice. So we have the clarification on the DICOM question from BS, who's from India. He's a friend. Because I see non-DICOM image transfers being used by AI models in the area of chest screening. Yeah, there's some companies that use
Okay.
JPEG, PNG, those kind of things. But BS at the core, the X-ray was a DICOM, right? They probably convert it
Yeah, yeah.
into something else. Like all machines globally create DICOM. In fact, now pathology is also entering into DICOM. Ophthalmology is going into DICOM. So yeah, I don't think DICOM is going away anytime soon. Uh, yeah, moving on. I had we were talking about this before the call, Julian, that uh, I would love to know what are, if you can disclose who are some of your top customers, uh, what uh, what AI use cases are you seeing most prevalent? Like, how are folks using it? Tell us about some of that.
Yeah, with pleasure. I think that's important because we were specialized first on AI for X-rays, specifically for trauma, chest measures, bone age, etc. It's a tremendous use case because first, X-rays are everywhere.
Mhm.
So for training, it's you have very diverse data, and it means that you can enter basically any medical imaging place. And then most of the time, we are used by non-specialists. The first screening in practically all the places that we've been through is being done by clinicians or by residents who are not fully trained by definition. So the value and the confidence you can bring is way higher compared with other use cases. So all of that were thanks to all of that, we made sure to have really strong proofs of the impact. And yeah, we can take one example if you want. We have a client in the US named Simon Med Imaging. They are one of the largest outpatient centers in the US. They have more than 200 locations across the country. And they decided to use Revolve to speed up their turnaround time. So the time between acquisition of the X-ray and the results communicated to the patient, let's say. They assessed it first semester of 22 without Revolve, and they did the same assessment first semester of 23 with the help of the AI. The study was huge. It was done like on more than 300,000 images. So huge study. They saw two things. The first one is turnaround time decreased by 83% for positive fracture cases with AI with the help of Revolve. So that's number one, and that's game changer for them. Meaning if you're a patient and you actually have the anomaly that we're looking at, in this case, fractures, you will know the results in minutes or hours. Before it was days to know the results and then to have a follow-up exam. So that really a game changer. For the negative cases, the turnaround time stays the same. So that's the result of the study. And second, that was not the initial objective of their study, but they also saw that the prevalence went up by almost 2%, I think, from
They
something
find
like
more
10 to
cases,
12%.
yeah.
5 more cases. So obviously it's a win for everyone. The quality of patient care is dramatically increasing. So, and by the way, for them, it's maybe more revenues because they have follow-up exams more. So that's a really, really good use case. And we try to spread that as much as possible everywhere else. We have the same results everywhere else, depending on the workflow, but
No, I
that's
think it
that's
becomes
powerful.
obvious, right? We are seeing similar results. We have deployed you guys at university hospitals in Cleveland, and there also it's like in the middle of the night. They've got the senior doctors are not there. It's the junior doctors, so it serves to help them. We're getting a bunch of questions in. Will there be a point in the future when there will be no longer need to include training data to retrain models? There's somebody who's trying to find data, I think, and not able to find it.
That's a good question. I try to be super cautious about those things because if you ask that to the industry 2 years ago, 3 years ago,
Yeah.
you would have very, very different answers than today.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, if I have to guess, yes, for some specific cases, yes. I think for cases, for example, very specific nodules or masses or things where you need to be very precise, maybe it's not the best approach, but yes, for obvious cases or the ones with a huge volume, I think that could be done in the future if I had to
Yeah,
guess.
no,
But
I can give
be
you an
very
example.
cautious.
I can give you an example of how we do it, and we do it with your algorithm also often, where we'll use one of those visual language models to do body part identification, right? Is it chest or not chest, right? Or chest or
Yeah,
MSK?
yeah, yeah.
Is it hand or long bone? So all those things you don't need to train. You just ask, put the right prompt in, and somehow it magically figures it out. So yeah, it's interesting.
It's just, yeah, if you look at the numbers now for most anomalies that we saw, if you just do that, the performance sometimes are a bit lagging behind compared with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
classical methods. But it's just less than 2 years that it's been out. So
yeah.
the potential to grow is really, really huge.
Correct. So I'll quickly take some more questions. Is autonomous reporting on the cards for AZmed in the future?
So I don't know what you mean by autonomous, but yeah, definitely reporting is there. I think it's like you have the diagnostic on the image, and then the reporting is like the obviously the second part of it, and which is at least as important as the image itself. So definitely yes, and by design, the algorithms that we develop and as others are doing it, and here comes the platforms such as CARPL to integrate that the smoothest way possible. That's one of the main role I think for the CARPL marketplace in the years to come is you have everything to make that happen and maybe sometimes AI vendors don't. So that's a huge asset that you can bring to the end customers.
No, fantastic. Next we have, I think it's Dr. Clement Grassi uh, from Boston, if I'm not wrong. What role do you foresee for radiologists in the training and testing of AI at the current time? And what would you advise radiologists who would like to get more involved, in a part-time capacity?
Very interesting questions. The more you know about AI and how it works, the more you will use it efficiently and you will take the best out of it. We see it very clearly with the annotators and radiologists part of the AZmed programs when we annotate. When they use it in real life, they are really like machines because they exactly know how it works, what's the pattern of the things it does right or wrong. So my advice to that is know exactly where you can bring value to companies, to AI companies, because you're an asset, like you're an unvaluable assets to companies like us. You're very rare. You're the rarest asset we can find, and the rarest human asset we can find, if we can talk like that. So know your value, and then you can propose it directly to the companies you're working already or you want to work with because that's for me the best way to then use it on a real life basis and know how to use it. That's the quickest and the best way to then use it.
No, wonderful. So basically, learn about AI. Reach out to us. Come to Carpel's booth. Go to AZMed's booth at RSNA. I'm sure, we would love to engage and share with you, Dr. Grazi, how we can work together. Next is a related question to RSNA. RSNA is starting soon. What are you most excited about?
Yeah, that's in a week now. That's I think excited about a lot of things. First, I think we will present new products, new things on other modalities than X-rays. So
Oh,
we'll introduce new whole brand new suits. So very happy and very excited to see that. And secondly, super excited to connect with our clients, partners, competitors. Like I think there's very few industries
yeah,
where an event like this can bring together this exact representation of the market in one place every year.
yeah.
So as always, for us, it's always a powerful business accelerator. So looking forward to it and to meet you again and to have great to share great moments together again.
Of course. And very interesting question from BS. Uh, I would be curious to know the answer. I've never asked you because I'm scared of asking. Are you worried about working with platforms when you know your competitor is also on the same platform?
That's a good question. So the answer is definitely no. That's the opposite. Um, as an AI producer and direct vendor as we are, we have two options: sell our product directly or through a distributor as CARPL platforms. The beauty in that is we are not competitors. We want the best for the clients, so the clients decide what they prefer. And depending on the environment or the needs they have, they choose. Sometimes they need a platform, sometimes they don't. So it's super important to have both options on the table because they are perfectly complementary.
Yeah.
And then I get where the questions came from. sometimes, obviously, for AI producers, it would be much more convenient to know on which platform they can rely and to know exactly to connect and to have strong bonds with platforms
Yeah.
because and that's I think the next steps. But at least for us to have the ability to be in both that and to sell direct or through a platform and to let the client decide is the most important things because it's perfectly complementary.
No, wonderful. In the interest of time, we do have one question. I would love for you to give a 30-second answer, Julian, if possible. We generally try to end on time. This is probably the most number of questions we've had recently. Google is developing sophisticated AI models, as we all know, X-ray, CT, MR, etc. How do you see Google's entry into the imaging AI space?
I think there is technology out there, as always, for vendors and for person who actually break through the integration. There are technology out there to help us go faster and help vendors like us or you to be able to take benefit from that.
Yeah.
And I think it will still be the case for the years to come. That's how I see that.
No, wonderful. Awesome. Thank you, Julian. Thank you, everybody, for the questions. Many of you remained anonymous. Would love more questions, and see you next week, same time. I'll be in Chicago. It'll be fun. See you.
Vidur, thank you very much.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you for doing this. Means the world.